right. Welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parish. I'm joined right now by the miracle of computer phone by Kelly Dwyer. Kelly, where are you calling in from on YouTube? You're inside a car? Are you on a freeway, man?
I'm in a moderately outfitted hatchback outside of a coffee shop. My wife is returning with some sort of iced green tea confection that hopefully has no sugar in it. And I'm hoping that the camera isn't getting all the time the Diet Coke exploded in here and put stains all over my car.
I can't tell. I still have Child's applesauce packet baby food, not even applesauce, like pureed baby food, still on the roof of my Elantra on the inside. It didn't come off with like one wipe. And I'm like, oh, I'll try a wet paper towel. I'll try a Lysol wipe. That didn't do it. That's all I got. I don't know what else to do. It's just there forever. It looks a little bit like dried blood, but
yeah, 100%.
Just splatter, just blood splatter.
We call it the murder car.
There you go. Yeah.
So welcome to my murder car.
I love being in your murder car, Kelly. I appreciate you joining us. Are you borrowing the Wi-Fi of the local coffee shop right now? I actually had to, I uploaded a YouTube video yesterday from my brother-in-law's driveway because it was closer to where I was. And I was like, you know what? I need to upload this right now before I get my kids. I'm just going to pull up close to his house. I'm not going to say hi. I'm not going to let him know I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to borrow a little Xfinity upload speed right now.
He knew what you were doing.
To get this, I don't know if he saw me. He hasn't let me know he saw me. Hey, man, were you creeping in my backyard? No, it was public. It was a public street.
I noticed it was a little slow on our side of things. It was a little,
right.
On RDLs in the tubes.
Getting throttled, man.
We were just wondering.
Speaking of tubes, have you seen the new Super Mario Brothers movie? I have, Kelly. Took the 8-year-old and the 5-year-old. First time I've been inside a theater since Rudy Gobert rubbed his contagious fingers all over the microphones before to kick off the COVID pandemic. By the way,
were you there that night?
No, I wasn't at the theater that night.
Imagine going into a theater at like 6 p.m. that night and walking out at 9 o'clock. And hey, never would guess what happened to Tom Hanks.
Also, congrats to everyone. Biden has just announced the COVID emergency is over. That's exciting news straight from our White House. Good job. Kudos to us. Kudos to me. Kudos to you. Kelly, we start the show. This episode, by the way, just let everybody know. John's coming on later in the week. Me and John are going to break down the first round of the playoffs, give our playoff predictions. We'll do our business on that as far as I shot for the end of the season. Today's episode, Kelly, you and me, we will talk about the final day of the regular season and some of the delights that it held. And then we will look ahead to the play-in games, the first of which those are tonight. And by the way, you can join me and John Burr and also Anthony Irwin in our playback room tonight for Timberwolves Lakers, aka who gets to play the Grizzlies. So come join us, playback.tv/fastbreak breakfast tonight at 9 p.m. Central to watch Timberwolves and Lakers play. So with all that, Kelly, what breakfast? Is this your breakfast right now? This green tea you're sipping on? You're loving on?
Yes. Yeah, that is true. And I guess the soda water, it's a very good soda water. It's my first time with it. It was a late night last night. And so we used a delivery ordering service to drop off some stuff and left a nice tip and got I guess it's my breakfast, a Waterloo cherry limeade soda water.
But is that a sugar-free with a cherry limeade screams we're trying to add some fake sugar flavor for you.
Exactly. I can't handle sugar. I can't handle aspartame. I can handle sugar in my ice cream. In my fizzy drinks, get out of here.
Does a 0-calorie drink count as a breakfast? This is just a philosophical question.
Ooh, if it comes accompanied by a cigarette and a shaking hand, then yes.
Well played, sir. Well played. What was your favorite takeaway, Kelly, from the final day of the regular season? There were 15 games. 3 of them mattered for playoff seeding, I believe. I want to say maybe 4 more, maybe more than that, mattered for tankathon standings. But what was your favorite thing from the final day of the NBA regular season?
Genuinely, it was going back on YouTube and looking at everyone's highlights from the 42-point games and the 37-point games. And I missed a fair chunk of the first half. And then it's the NBA is really talented. And it's always been like this. Last night of the season, last day of the season, it's been both. It used to be the last day of the season growing up. Then for a while, it was at nighttime, like randomly on a Wednesday. And then it would just, the late games would be it. I've always dug it, but everyone is so talented now that, you were watching intently that Thunder game. Look at those guys with their second season. It's just, everyone is what the Jazz did to the Lakers on national television with people who wouldn't be in the rotation if they made the playoffs. That's what got me. It was, I went in with all the cynical, icky, what a joke this is. And skewed by the Cuban stuff on Friday night, as I think a lot of us were, and just came out of it going, boy, this is silly and fun. And I just don't mind. And bring on the play-in and people jumping on scores tables. Yeah.
So you mentioned a good thing. This season finale on a Sunday is a relatively new phenomenon in our basketball viewing lives. Cause it used to ended on Wednesday night. And then we had to prep, Thursday, Friday for the playoffs kicking off on Saturday. Now we have a whole week of play-in. So every team played on Sunday. I thought the times were a little bit weird. We were arguing in our Slack chat. Was this because of the Masters? Like, why are all the games over by 5? Saturday was confusing. Saturday, there were 3 games on, all done by 5. And it was, so I was like, well, I don't think any game was on TV on Saturday. No. To me, that felt like the NBA was hiding its shame. It was like we've ruined the end of the year and no one should have to see this. But there were some delightful moments. Like you said, we were doing a playback, actually, you and me, watching Kenneth Lofton Jr. go for 42 points. He now has more 40-point, 10 rebound games than Mark Gasol and Zach Randolph combined. It's 1-0, Kenneth Lofton Jr. Outside of your long-lasting love affair with the league and the beauty of the sport, which everyone knows, everyone who's reading your Substack, we know, man, you love it. All right, but nail it down. What's your favorite specific individual and or team performance from Sunday? Oh,
it was Kenny Lofton.
Oh, it is. Good job. Your bread's buttered. All right.
I am not, but seriously, it was Kenny Lofton, and not how the haha jokes he looks different or whatever. It was watching those highlights in the this isn't like a Taco Fall situation. I'm not coming in as a novelty. I'm not paying attention to everything the Hustle do, but watching those G League highlights on Twitter all year and the occasional YouTube, and then watching him bust that. He's got to see it in the garbage time a little, but just watching him do that against actual NBA talent, having no hesitancy, no latency in oh God, I got to pull the string on a pass ahead or any of the stuff that rookies usually do because it's so much faster up there, even against the second and third stringers. And he was just, no, I'm a rookie. And I don't know if it was on the last game of the season, but Brad Miller had one of those in his rookie year with Ricky Davis. I think they both had, or at least the very, last week of the season. And, for someone who thought Brad Miller should have been a top 20 draft pick or something like that year, in the Dirk Nowitzki draft, it just seemed telling. And so I hope that's the case for Lofton. I mean, I hope he's a significant part of some team's future to take advantage of this inimitable game. This, it's an odd game. It's an in-between game. He does it, and I want to watch him do it.
He was one of 6 Grizzlies players to play. They only played 6 guys in that game. I like how you said he had no latency on throwing passes ahead. Well, actually, Kelly, he had no assists. So he put up 42 points and 0 assists. I want to say he's the first rookie since Carmelo Anthony to have a 40.0 assist game.
Good.
Little fun novelty there.
Good. Because I remember Carmelo's teammates.
I'm going to say my favorite thing. And I think the correct answer, I mean, you said Kenny Lofton Jr., nothing wrong with that. But the correct answer was either individual performance of Anthony Edwards taking over the end of the Timberwolves Pelicans game, or Rudy Gobert. I mean, the man of the hour, Rudy Gobert punching Kyle Anderson, or maybe was the most important player from the end of the season. Was it Adrian Wojnarowski with maybe one of the greatest tweets of all time, where he let fly something that I think when most people saw it, they initially thought, is this one of these fake verified accounts now? Because it didn't seem real. He let us know about, so if everyone knows this, Gobert punched Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson was yelling at Gobert, and there was this altercation. The Timberwolves sent Rudy Gobert home at halftime. This is after Jaden McDaniels left the game and broke his hand in the tunnel by punching a curtain. They didn't know there was concrete behind. Shades of Gus Frerotte in the NFL. But the league's like, or first of all, the Timberwolves are like, hey, listen, these things happen. We're going to handle it internally. And while they handle it internally, every literal thing that happened was released to the media in a slow drip. But I think it culminated in Woj tweeting the following. And you know, Kelly, I am loath to curse or swear. It's just not part of my vocabulary. But I do feel like
you're a journalist.
I feel like for the impact of this tweet to come through, you gotta read it verbatim as Woj dropped it. Quote, the Timberwolves had to suspend Gobert. This is after finding out that he's not going to play in the play-in game. The Timberwolves said he's not traveling to Los Angeles for Tuesday night's play-in game. They're going to go into the postseason without him, the guy they traded everything for in the offseason. Biggest game of the year, they're not going to let him play. They've suspended him because, quote, this is from Adrian Wojnarowski, the Timberwolves had to suspend Gobert for throwing a punch, but accepted that it was a shot to chest with no intent to injure Kyle Anderson, and understood that Anderson called Gobert a bitch repeatedly on a night Gobert was playing hurt. Sources tell ESPN. There was extenuating circumstances. Kyle Anderson called him the B word repeatedly.
Let the record show.
At some point, you got to let a guy punch someone. He had to stand up for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Is Gobert getting railroaded?
Yeah, his rep's never been higher. Never been stronger. And everyone loves Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo's everyone's favorite player outside
Everyone
of
loves Kyle Anderson.
We dig Slow-Mo. Because he was inoffensive with the Spurs, like he wasn't putting them over the top. He wasn't, like James Worthy going in. Everyone loves Memphis. Everyone wants Minute. We love Slow-Mo.
Yeah.
Gobert is a rep. He touched all the mics. He ruined your movie.
So Kyle Anderson's popularity is soaring. He was not this popular while he was on the Grizzlies. He was one of my two favorite players on the Grizzlies. Grizzlies fans were never this enamored as I was with him. Now Kyle Anderson just seems almost to be universally beloved. Am I reading the room correctly?
Yes, but I think this is rising all the boats in the harbor of the tide. I do believe Gobert. He punched a guy with obvious intent not to bitch harm his stomach. Whatever you said, whatever Woj quoted. People are kind of getting behind Rudy Gobert. I think there's the backlash to the backlash of cheese, it's time to come around. It's he stood up for himself in a huddle, and also 35 years ago, I don't know if he gets suspended.
Oh, definitely
it's a fight.
No. Definitely no.
So that we have to do it because he threw a punch like it was,
I think they have to do it. The
NBA does it.
My opinion, Kelly, is they only did this because the Timberwolves, the teammates do not like Rudy Gobert. Flat out.
Yeah.
I think if Dylan Brooks punched Santi Aldama in the shoulder in a huddle, Dylan Brooks is playing the next game. I don't. Well,
they could suspend Dylan Brooks and he'd still show up to the next game. He'd still show up. You're not keeping him out
honestly,
of that.
I should have recognized Dylan Brooks with his hair and braids fully down and straightened was one of the most delightful things. Looking straight out of it's like you needed the Curtis Mayfield music. Honestly, it was incredible.
It's springtime
look for Dylan Brooks. Do you think Gobert being out is this? I feel like the podcaster thing to say is this doesn't hurt their chances against the Lakers. What is your assessment? Would they be better off with Gobert in this game, or can they galvanize it without him and maybe perform even better?
It doesn't hurt their chances.
No. Okay.
I could think they could give up in the second quarter. I think it could be a convenient excuse when some 25-footers that they're hoping are going to, bring a lead down to 9 and will do some damage. And I think they can fold in the second quarter of this game, but they needn't, because they can outlast the Lakers, who do not shoot threes. And, they're better at taking care of the ball, but it's still there. So the Wolves the Wolves can beat the Lakers with both of that weird 7-foot lineup in the lineup, with Gobert not smacking people and Cat healthy and any of that. They can beat them with Cat at center. They can beat them with Cat on the bench, eating potassium pills to work on his calf, and Gobert out there. They can just beat them. I don't know if they will tonight, because that was weird. That was different. And I think they might press. I think they might want to prove that everything's right. And, maybe kind of get their guy back. Maybe Gobert is back to being their guy by now, and they want to see him on Friday and have, figure this out for real. I'd love for this to be a thing. I don't want anyone to lose in a first round upset, but I'd love it if the Timberwolves rallied behind this. We've seen enough of the Lakers.
Well, I think, honestly,
hot take.
I'm trying to decide, would the league rather have the Lakers play the Grizzlies or the Lakers play the Nuggets in the first round? If we're talking about what's better for the viewing public, is it better to I feel
West Coast.
I feel like you have to weigh maybe their excitement over having LeBron versus Nikola Jokic against their disappointment that Grizzlies Timberwolves would then be one of the other series, not the sexiest maybe for the casual fan to tune in on.
Yeah, I don't think they want to. They're not looking to lift anyone up. They're going to want to take the biggest hit. I just don't like Anthony Davis did really well, to bully his way into things. I'm just not ready to give him. I can see them dumping this twice. They're not great. They're going to play defense. Things are going to show up, but it's a different game, and they're going to get called for things that they weren't called for. I believe. I hope. I don't know. The Wolves have a lot of talent, and they have someone who can put up 40 points in an instant, slow the game down, and get a ton of free throws. And I don't like D'Angelo Russell in the role of Pat Beverly trying to show up and, get his team back and some perceived slight and show up on the score. I don't like that. Pat Beverly can handle that. 7 of 24 from the field, D'Angelo Russell, I'm not so sure of.
Yes.
I'm as confident in Russell blowing a game as I am in him being the absolute MVP in the fourth quarter.
So one of the many storylines of this game, maybe one of the biggest, is the fact that the Lakers have 3 Timberwolves from last year, guys who got playing experience last year. Now the Lakers have D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt, which is just a wild angle of this game. And all things always to me lead back to like the Gobert trade. Like not only could you trade, like you couldn't trade Gobert for Walker Kessler straight up now. Like you just couldn't do it. If you ignored salaries, you're like, hey, we don't care about salaries. Just which player would you rather have? Everyone's like, well, I think I'd rather hang out with Walker Kessler. And
100%.
And now you look at the Timberwolves, who were the former Timberwolves playing on the Lakers. Like you couldn't trade Gobert for Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley.
Or Beasley with that contract, with Gobert's contract.
If
your owner's not willing to pay that.
Yeah. And the fact that all these things they traded, and we feel like we have to keep pointing them out, all of that stuff was traded, and Gobert's not even playing. He's not even involved in this game. It's just the leftover guys. It's Mike Conley, the very cool Kyle Anderson, the even cooler Anthony Edwards, the very uncool Karl Anthony Towns, who came through huge at the end of the Pelicans game, made a bunch of threes, and now he gets to show off what he can do in this plan. I mean, the Lakers are huge favorites. I think they're like 8.5 point favorites. So like I know there's some of that built-in public money where bigger fan base Lakers fans are going to support that and move that line a little bit, but I mean, Lakers are huge favorites. You got LeBron, you got Anthony Davis. It should be a great game. By the way, going back to the thing, how the Timberwolves are like, we're gonna handle this internally. Someone on the Timberwolves staff released a video of the incident where it was audio of the incident. It was video of the inside of this guy's shorts, where he surreptitiously recorded Kyle Anderson coming into the locker room. Kyle Anderson making all kinds of threats, basically saying, you guys keep backing this guy, more colorful language, like, questioning my heart. We got to say, like, you got to choose, like, you basically saying,
summer.
Yeah. Me or them, or like, but even talking about like, handle this summer. There's never been a more sunk cost than Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, what
the worst trade in NBA history? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Titanic. I didn't run with it. I mean, you're obviously more familiar with Slomo's voice than I am, so I didn't run with that because the original tweet seemed to disappear. But it's it makes sense if it's true. It seems a bold stance for someone like Mr. Anderson to be taken in terms of as you characterized him or me, but that's what was said.
So I guess we don't officially know if this was actually Kyle Anderson's voice. My guess, it sounded enough like Kyle Anderson's voice that why would anyone fake this? Mm-hmm. Why would anyone record the inside of their shorts with a voice that sounded like Kyle Anderson's?
Let me run into a closet.
It was deleted. It was tweeted and then deleted basically instantaneously. It sounds like what is said is the bleep is wrong with y'all. Y'all kiss his ass way too much, telling me to focus. The bleep is wrong with y'all. Y'all got a decision to make this second. Again, that's a transcription that seemed to be what was saying. This could have been one of those weird lip reading videos where, all right, maybe he's saying something else. But again, it sounded like someone with the Timberwolves staff. I'm guessing texted this to a buddy. The buddy put it on the internet, and now whoever initially took the video is probably getting fired. I haven't heard any reports of anyone getting fired from the Timberwolves, but it's a weird end of the year, to say the least, for a Timberwolves team, which has won a single postseason series once, or one season ever. They made the conference finals with Kevin Garnett back in the day. And now they're going to try to upset the Lakers. The other play-in game on Tuesday night, Hawks Heat. What are your feelings of Hawks Heat? This is a rematch of a first-round series that Trae Young would like to forget last year, where Trae Young posted some of the worst stats you will ever see facing the Miami Heat.
That was just another in a long line of just the Hawks and Heat contributing the worst playoff series in NBA history. SB Nation has a film about one of them. See, I'm trying to get the sunlight off of me and onto the murder parts. I want to include the murder parts. They had some in the 90s where there's a big fight between just anonymous, like all the Hawks and Heat that were like traded for each other, that also ended up on all the Hawks that ended up on the Heat later, that you couldn't sure back then if they were on the Hawks or the Heat. They all got in a fight. Kevin Willis, Grant Long. It's always ugly. And it's going to be that way today. The Quinn Snyder has them streamlined offensively, and he's trimmed some fat. And the Heat are just stuck in their ways. They're not a volume 3-point shooting team, and they love the dipsy do with Jimmy Butler, and so do I. So the Hawks should win. They've been the better team. I know Miami's at home, but has that ever meant anything? I don't know what the odds say to that, but the Heat kind of feel like they're slumming in the play-in, and they're like they don't deserve to be here. So here's a good chance to prove that they have another gear. I just don't know if they do. Are they going to be actually relying on Victor Oladipo to come in with a second unit? Is it going to get that deep, or are the starters going to take care of their jobs? I know the Hawks can't help. DeJounte Murray just puts his head down and scores and gets buckets. And if they just make a moderate amount of 3-pointers, I just think the Heat are sunk.
What are your opinions as far as our omission of mentioning Udonis Haslam's final game for the greatest performances from Sunday? Udonis Haslam, who came into Sunday with 3 points on the season. He scored 24. Udonis Haslam in the 2019-20 and 2020-21 seasons scored 16 points total.
Yeah.
And in Haslam, in his final game, he's the oldest player, I believe, ever to score 24 points in a game. He passed Vince Carter.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. I can remember the aforementioned Kevin Willis's last year with the Hawks and the cameo with Dallas. And sorry, people are trying to get into the coin shop around here. It's a big thing in these parts. They got to trade them coins. They got to sell them coins. Sorry, I forgot what the question was. I almost watched someone get in a car accident.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I just asking. I'm just talking about Udonis Haslem and his.
Oh yeah,
his
and he takes care of it in the
finish to the
regional
year.
rivalry. He takes care of the Florida team with it. You know, he doesn't get in a fight. He doesn't waste it in the second quarter on some. No, it was tremendous. The guy has skills. The guy has touch. The guy has a gray beard, and he was almost born in the '70s. What a tremendous career. I wonder I mean, has he made the playoff roster? Is it at all possible? They're a very injured team.
Are they going to play? That's what I need to know. Who's playing? Why would they not? I mean, this man hit 3-pointers and caught an alley-oop. Why hasn't he been playing power forward all year? They desperately need a power forward.
When Kevin Love is, he's going through, he must be playing through something for Kevin Love, who shoots 1,000,000% from 3-pointers. All of a sudden, something happens in December and he can't hit with either team. So, yeah, let's bring out the U one last time.
So he's not on the injury report. The only notable injury for the injury report in the Hawks Heat game is Kyle Lowry, who is questionable. That Kyle Lowry trade did not turn out very good for the Miami Heat. What are your thoughts, Kelly, on the 9-10 games that we have coming up on Wednesday night? These are, I feel like, so you like the Bulls. You have an affinity for the Bulls. I feel like, based on my social media feeds, everyone who covers and cheers for both the Raptors and the Bulls, I'm going to say they're not enthusiastic for the game. I think they're like, well, guess we got to do this. Guess we got to play.
We'll be enthusiastic. Okay. It is the rare nice, it's a spring day here in the Midwest for both of us, but we're disappointed in how things turned out. I think the Raptors are more a short-term disappointment on the season turned out. We're all, as Bulls fans, are just disappointed with how our lives ended up with it. And, hanging out in a parking lot, watching guys run into each other, and a 41 team trying to make the playoffs. Yeah, I hope I'm not in for a night of disappointment where, like, the Pelicans show off their long arms and lengthy range and hold the go get 'em Thunder to like 59 points or some terrible record in a play-in game, and then that fun story gets ruined. And then the first game, my Bulls have to go home after everyone leaves Pat Beverly open every time he's on the court. That's going to be rough.
A proven playoff strategy is to leave Pat Beverly open. He can't help himself. Speaking of the Pelicans, they have an unbelievable leg up, I feel like, on every other play-in team. They have perhaps the greatest statistical performer in the NBA play-in ever. That's Jonas Valanciunas, whose records will never be broken for making the play-in every season. Jonas Valanciunas, I believe, has he's up to 75 rebounds in the play-in, which, again, no one's going to catch him. No one's ever going to catch him. So as long as the Pelicans can lean on Jonas, that I feel like is a big advantage in their game. Hopefully, again, the Thunder don't have much size. They don't have much rim protection. They don't have much rebounding. It seems like this is a specific game where you can ride Jonas. I know when you advance to the playoffs, that can be a weakness, but listen, if you want to make the play-in and then you want to make the 8th seed, that's why God gave us Jonas Valanciunas. It is what he is built for. I hope the Pelicans
bogart him.
Lean on them. The Bulls are weird. So the Bulls are 5.5-point underdogs to the Raptors, which feels a lot, just because, like, I don't trust any part of the Raptors. The Bulls are weird. Last season, they won 46 games, and they had a worse point differential than they have this season. So I don't know what we're supposed to take of that.
They had a 50-point win, but I think even with that, it's different. It's an odd year on the lake.
They dropped like 150 on the Celtics, or was it the Bucks or something?
Brooklyn.
Oh, it was Brooklyn, the Nets.
Yeah,
that can happen.
Any iteration that can happen.
If you were to pick a 9 or 10 seed from either conference that's going to be like last year's Pelicans and make it into the playoffs. Actually, I believe we've had a 9 seed 2 years in a row, because the Grizzlies a couple years ago were the 9 seed, upset the Warriors in the play-in. So who's the 9 or 10 seed this year that you think has the best chance of making the actual playoffs?
I trust the Bulls far more than, I think the Bulls had beat up Boston this year. I think the Bulls can make a run. They can also fold in the second quarter because they shoot a bunch of 2-pointers, and we don't do that in the NBA anymore. Pelicans, did they have it in the tank? That was a lot to run up and down. And can you just flip on that defense again and also have the legs to make shots? You know, I in a lot of ways, the Pelicans are like the best team in that bracket. So yeah, the Pelicans are, you know, they were supposed to, right?
You would think so.
Did anyone consider that, like, really we're going to be counting on Zion this time of year? I think we all kind of thought, unfortunately, in a you know, don't want to compare it to sort of a Yao Ming sort of way, that, you know, they might not be there. And we kind of thought they'd be here, and one of the teams that can play their way in if Ingram is healthy. And Ingram is healthy. He wears a shirt under the jersey, but he's still healthy.
I still wonder, like, does CJ McCollum wear a shirt under the jersey just because he's old now? And he's like me at the gym where I'm like, I'm not, what is that, a basketball jersey? No, man, I gotta wear a shirt. I can't have my arms covered.
Sweatpants soon. Gotta keep those patellas warm.
Finally, what are your thoughts on this kind of big story from the last few days of the season, and now the NBA announcing it's opened an investigation into the Dallas Mavericks for tanking? Now, I've been an outspoken critic of both the organizational decisions to lose on purpose and the league's rules that incentivize teams to lose on purpose. But what do you even think could be a possible punishment for the Mavs just saying they're doing what everyone already does?
What I'd like to know, someone had to know this was going to happen, right? When they thought about this, someone had to know. We probably thought it was going to be the Hawks. Didn't we think it was going to be the Hawks that would sit someone and go for that? Maybe not a lottery pick, but either keep their pick or just get a pick and sit some people. Not this year, but just we thought at some point.
You're saying at some point this would happen, as in someone dodging the play-in.
Someone would 100% do it. So they would have to have a penalty thought of beforehand, correct? Not necessarily on record, but at least discussed. And if the NBA wants to go hard on this, make it a one-time thing. Penalize them a first-round pick. Penalize them that pick. Make it in the, you know, maybe the cash doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to these guys are the ways they can play basketball with their toys. So hit them where it counts. I'm not arguing for this. I just would not be like upset if it happened, because then it would immediately right what a lot of people see as wrong. I'm not as upset about it, but maybe because it's just something that seems like a normal way to pervert this thing that should be giving us good basketball. So yeah, I'd love to see this, you know, play out in some hard hitting way. I think that'd be fun and interesting and good, and have Mark Cuban fight back, and let's get a little sense and sensibility about what counts and what doesn't with these things. If you're starting in October to you know, cut the crust on your season, that's one thing. If you're doing it in the last day of the year, that's different and obvious, and we know what you're doing. So I'm encouraged by this, even if I'm not out for blood.
Yeah, like, I think my biggest reaction is more like this is the league's fault. This isn't the Mavericks' fault. This is the league's fault. Like, you did this. I think it's weird to, like, ignore the Jazz this season, who could have made the play-in if they wanted to. And, like, I'm pretty sure the Thunder last year would have made the play-in if they wanted. Like, the Spurs made the play-in last year and they were actively tanking.
Couldn't these Thunder use Mike Muscala right now? Aren't they even slightly tanking this year, if you really think about it? I don't know. Where's that helicopter? Karen?
That's right. Well, I mean, that's also
great point.
Well, here's the thing, Kelly. If the Thunder lose on Wednesday night, well, they now have a 13% chance at jumping up. No, higher. They have they have an 8% chance. Roughly, we'll call it 10 as I add up these decimal places. Mm-hmm. They have a roughly 10% chance of getting a top 4 pick if they lose. What happens? Yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I expect the Thunder to do it, but, like, what happens if Trey Mann, fresh off his triple-double on the final day of the season, what if he plays like 44 minutes? What if they're like, you know what? Shea late scratch.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying I expect it. I'm just saying, what would the league do?
And what can you do?
Where, like, hey, we would rather have a 10% chance at a top 4 pick than get wiped up and down the court by the Nuggets.
You know me. I am not a draft pick freak. I do not care about them. I do not covet them. I do not think of second round picks as any form of currency, and anything after the second or third pick in the draft, these are new people to me. But why wouldn't these teams want to do that? It's the appropriate thing to do. You get a whole different, better shot at a player. And also on top of that, you get a weird sort of odd situation where you can get an even much better player. So the NBA, we all wrote about it when they did the play-in. We all wrote about it. I'm sure Tom Ziller can come up with 32 examples of why he pointed out why this might be a thing in 2015. So if we're going to be going down this Bill Simmons route, apparently, with all these brand spanking new ideas from 2008, I hope they have the counterpunch ready.
Well, so let me more specifically spell out the situation, because I think I left out one of the important things. Like, if the Thunder make the playoffs, let's say that means they'd have the worst record of any team that made the playoffs. That would give them the 15th pick. So just by not making the playoffs, they could improve their pick all the way up to probably 11th. They have a 78% chance at picking 11th if they miss the playoffs. So we're talking about make the playoffs, 15th pick, miss the playoffs, 78% chance at 11, 14% chance at 12, and then a 10% chance roughly at the top 4. And what
would you do?
I mean, I don't know how much personally I would win. I just think winning is more important. It's not proven that the Sixers got Embiid. They could have gotten Embiid without tanking. Like,
yes,
maybe they would have finished with the 3rd pick and gotten him anyway. Like,
if my Bulls are desperate for help in every area, if they had their pick this year to keep, I would 100% be hoping that they're going to win out and get waxed by Milwaukee. And
so the Bulls,
I would have absolutely gone for that.
The Bulls pick, what is it, like top 7 protected? So
top 4 protected.
Okay, so if the Bulls miss the playoffs, like there's a 92% chance they get nothing, which is makes it easy for them.
But even if that were out, I would be like, go Bulls. I don't care if you're full of 34-year-olds, and it's time to win.
That's where I'm weirded out by what the Mavericks did, because even if, like, they said, listen, we think even if we try to win, the Thunder are still going to lose to Kenny Lofton on Sunday. And we're still going to be out of the playoff. We're just going to have hurt our draft options. But
why not? I'm just saying, in the second quarter, maybe for an inbound situation, just why not get them the playoff experience? That's all I'm saying.
I think playoff experience is huge. I also think for the Thunder, you would think that fan base that's been through, I mean, they've been through a lot. Like, they were patient, and they seem to have bought in. I'm like, hey, we'll lose for 2 years. And it never got, like, the Rockets had a worse record than them. Like, the Thunder never finished with the worst record. But they did say, we'd rather maximize our lottery balls as opposed to chase the play-in. So I do think you need to reward that fan base with a minimum of 2 home playoff games if you can get them. Like, it used to be that the ticket sales meant a lot for the bottom line of these small markets. I don't know if that's still the case. I think it is.
It's a bit.
Like, that's how you bring in so much revenue. Like, and you're depending, of course, on the league revenue share from the league advertising partners and the television streams. But, like, it used to be the gate was big deal for the playoffs for these teams. And so
it is. It still is. It's enough, especially in these big cities. The Bulls want that. The Bulls want 2 games where Milwaukee beats them by a combined 48 points.
Yep. Well, honorable mention, Kelly, for Cam Thomas scoring 46. We expected that, though, right? Cam Thomas had 46 on the last day. Peyton Pritchard had a 30-point triple-double.
Did not expect that. Would have said 11, 12, and 11, not 30 points.
Yeah. Mitchell Robinson, 20 rebounds, 7 blocks. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, Kelly, thanks for coming on. We'll have another show out later this week, previewing the playoffs with me and John Burr. Don't miss our playback watch party tonight. If you're a Grizzlies fan, they're selling those 2022, 2023. They're selling those 2023, 2024 season tickets. And that might be your only chance to sneak into the playoffs this year, is by go ahead and buying your season tickets for next year. It's the best seats at the best prices for the, let's say, most exciting young team in basketball. Still young, Kelly. To get those Grizzlies tickets, call 901-888-HOOP or click grizzlies.com. If you want to support our show, you can do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Kelly, really enjoyed the time, and look forward to the next time. You guys out there, you're the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
I will remember you.
I'm ready to do a Twitter profile picture.
Dude, you are. Oh my God, Kelly. Look at you. Look at you as a commentator. All right, man.
How much traffic is here? All right, Buddy. Thank you for having me on.
I feel awesome. Like you're watching. What's that? I feel like you're watching like a Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, where there's like a jewelry store robbery and a little strip mall. Yeah.
Thank God you picked one of the 4 movies I've seen in my lifetime.
It's so good, dude.
That was like our second Netflix thing that we rented with the physical DVDs after like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and something else. That's awesome. No, I'm just watching the inexplicable amount of traffic in West Lafayette, Indiana, outside the coin store. Oh my gosh, I'm so hot. I have to step out of this car. Thank you so much, man.
You did great. See you, Kelly.